All right, joined again here by Chuck Holton, still in El Paso. Chuck, the Title 42 expired. What have you been seeing?
Well, I'm here at Gate 42 in the wall. This is not a legal port of entry. This is migrants that are turning themselves in, crossing illegally. And as you know, because of the expiration of Title 42, that gives the Border Patrol new tools to try to kick these people back out on a very quick basis. Now, there are a lot of loopholes. We talked to a few experts over the last couple of days who have said that really this change is more window dressing than anything else, because the migrants will easily be able to navigate the loopholes in the new rule and will still be able to come in. So if they say they have a credible fear for their life, for example, if they say if they come with a child, for example, that sort of thing, they can still get in. And last night, as soon as the Title 42 expired, we were here at midnight and waiting to see if there was a huge rush. There was not. And part of the reason was probably threefold. Number one, there was a ton of law enforcement, National Guardsmen, and Border Patrol that were out patrolling last night. They had everybody, all hands on deck. And everywhere we went, there were a lot of Border Patrol. Number two, there's a lot of confusion because of the new rule, and the migrants on the other side. There's a lot of rumors swirling. They're not really sure how to get across safely or legally. And number three, a lot of migrants, because of the new rule, decided not to turn themselves in at a legal at a port of entry like this, or turn themselves into Border Patrol. Instead, they tried to become gotaways. That is, they went through a hole in the fence someplace and tried to just melt into the American population. We saw lots of evidence of that last night. We were out very, very late driving along the border north of El Paso. And as you drove along the fence, this is parts of the fence that were not rebuilt into the Trump wall during the Trump administration. So they're the old, what they call the tortilla curtain. There were lots of holes cut into that fence that had been recently used by migrants to cross over. Of course, they weren't going to do that while we were sitting right there with our vehicle, but we went by earlier and then came by a little later, and you could tell that there were backpacks and phones laying about that they had thrown down or lost in the process of crossing the border. So a lot of people coming across illegally at that point. That there's more of a incentive now to come across as a gotaway, because if you do get caught, like you say, with the Title 8, they can very quickly expel them unless they have a very compelling reason not to.
Yeah. So are they, because I've seen the administration trying to say like, oh, the migrants, they know these rules very well. But then on the other hand, we hear like the gentleman you spoke to yesterday when we interviewed, talking about how we heard the doors were open. So which is it? Are these migrants like really gaming the system, or is it sort of just rumors spread like fire and then they just kind of act according to that?
Well, it's both. I mean, they do learn how to game the system, and they do share that information among themselves. They have Facebook groups, WhatsApp chat groups that they disseminate that information. But over the last couple of days, there have been so many changes. There have been legal cases that have stopped things, that have started new things. And so nobody really knows exactly what the rules are. And so that, I think, had something to do with the fact that we don't see a zombie apocalypse coming across this border right now. But we do see hundreds of people. We've been here for an hour this morning, and they've taken 2 bus loads of people. That's about 120 people out. This bus load is loading up, and more people are coming across the river on the other side, being received by Border Patrol. Again, there are plenty of loopholes in this new rule. If you recall, before Title 42 was implemented, there were lots and lots of migrants coming across, and they were finding ways. They were bringing children with them. They were even renting children, we heard, and sending kids across by themselves and that sort of thing, in order to defeat the rules or to game the system, as you say. But again, right now, what we're seeing is, and what the Border Patrol is telling us, is that the big spike is going to be in those who try to become gotaways, that just get in and melt into the population of the United States. And from then on out, you can spend the rest of your life in the U.S. as long as you don't get arrested for something and get back out. Also, you have to keep in mind, many of the people that are coming across have already tried to get into the United States and have been in the United States sometimes for years. They have been deported 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, we've found. And so they know that if they come and turn themselves into Border Patrol, they're just going to get pushed right back. But so a lot of people, what we're seeing when they do that are claiming to be Mexican, even if they're not. So they throw away their passport, throw away their identity documents, and they just claim to be Mexican. That way, if they do get thrown out, they can get pushed right back into Mexico. They can go down the border wall a ways and come right back in and try it again. And they just keep trying. And if they don't have identity documents, there's not really a great way to vet them until they get put into like a biometric system.
And I want to remind people who are viewing here on the CBN News Channel, I'm familiar with Chuck, make sure you can catch more reports from Chuck over on his channel, the Hot Zone. Chuck, what do they search to find your channel? We'll put it in the description as well, but what should they search?
Just the Hot Zone with Chuck Holton.
Okay, great. Check it out. A lot of great stuff there. I saw your post on the hole in the fence and the picture there as well that got posted from that.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Let's do it.
Nuclear level hypocrisy by the Biden administration. Karine Jean-Pierre a few weeks ago in a news conference stood up there and just berated the Republicans for trying to pass H.R. 2, which provides funding to complete the border wall. And she specifically said that the border wall falls over in high winds. It's completely useless. It does no good at stopping migrants. Yesterday, we were north of El Paso and saw a large construction site. These guys were up there constructing border wall using leftover materials that had been left by the Trump administration in a section of wall that was open because they stopped construction the day that Joe Biden took office. The guys that were building the wall were the same construction company that were building it under Trump. And they had all been fired the day Joe Biden got into office. But now they've been rehired to take those construction materials and start filling in the gaps on that fence, because the Biden administration is in panic mode at this point. They understand that they lose either way they go on this, and they're trying to plug the holes in the fence as fast as they can, which obviously is too little too late. But for Karine Jean-Pierre to stand up there and talk about how the fence is worthless and it falls over in high winds. I mean, you can see the fence here. This fence is 30 feet high. It's sunk in concrete. It's not falling over in a high wind. But so it's very disingenuous for her to say that. But then for them to be actively constructing the wall at the very moment that they're, threatening to veto the funding to do so, to finish building it, is just, like I say, nuclear level hypocrisy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting how the wall became sort of this contention point, like, and how it meant one thing or another, when it just seems like a very logical thing to put up there, regardless of where you stand on immigration, because it just makes it a higher percentage that you have to come through one of the gates, as you can see right behind you.
That's right. I mean, really, it's an act of hate against the Border Patrol, because putting up a fence makes their job easier. It makes fewer places that they have to be. It saves money in the long run, because you don't need as many Border Patrol agents if you have a 30-foot wall along the 1,200-mile length of the border. And so it's literally just logical to do that. But again, logic is not really what the currency that they pay in Washington, D.C., as is seen by events every day.
All right. Well, I know you got to get running, Chuck, but before you go, what can we expect to see from here? You said we didn't get the huge surge right at the gate there, but that you're seeing people coming in through the holes and all that other stuff and the getaways. What do you think we can expect to see kind of going forward?
You are going to see continued surge. There are lots and lots of people, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people, by some accounts up to 1 million, who have already sold everything, already taken their shot, and they're in the pipeline headed north to the United States. They are not going to turn around and go back home, because they don't have a home to go back to. And so they are going to try to figure out a way to game the system, and they're going to do what they can to get in. And so this is a continuing cat and mouse game. But one other thing to mention is that while 95% of all Border Patrol agents are busy processing migrants into the country, The cartels are out in the remote areas along the border, absolutely pouring fentanyl and heroin and cocaine and marijuana into the United States. And they're doing so because they're taking advantage of this. And why wouldn't they? It's a business for them. They're going to make money either way. And so, again, that's where that wall comes in. The places where there is a wall makes it much, much harder, much slower for them to get not just people, but drugs in. So we're going to go from here. We're going to go out along the New Mexico-Arizona border, and we're going to start doing some reporting on that over the next couple of days.
All right, Chuck, be safe. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay, man.